Hi, my name is Karen Hodges Miller, and this is the Can You Really Do It All panel for the April 2022 BookFest. And I am going to go around our screen and ask everyone a little bit about what they do, and then I'll introduce myself at the end. So, CJ, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Karen, and thank you for having me. Thanks to the BookFest for having me as well. I'm CJ. I am the founder and host of the Author's Porch podcast and magazine, and a full-time writer as well. So that's a little bit about me, as well as retired Air Force. I did that for 20 years, had a good time traveling the world, and now I'm staying put in my chair.
Okay, AG, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, Karen. Hi, CJ. Hi, Eric. Hi, Bookfesters. It's great to be here. I'm AG Billig. I'm a published author. I'm a self-publishing expert, founder of Self-Publishing Mastery, and also a member of the Black Château Enterprises team. And I help authors on their journey to success and to meeting their writing goals.
And Eric, your turn.
All right. Thanks, Karen. Hi, CJ. Hi, AG. Hi, Karen. My name is Eric Labacz. I run Eric Labacz Design and Illustration from my home in Newtown, Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes north of Philadelphia. I help self-publishing authors by creating book covers for their books. I'm a contractor for a few online self-publishing platforms. I also work with publicity agencies. I work with editors. I work with ghostwriters. I have my own independent self-publishing author clients. And I mainly do book cover design, but I also do marketing support, illustration, children's book design, illustration, anything creative that I can get my hand on in the self-publishing process.
Thank you, Eric. And I am Karen Hodges Miller, and my company's Open Door Publications. And I try to help everyone, self-publishing authors who are trying to do it all and can't, pick up the pieces that they can't do. And I know that we all want to write the book, edit the book, create the cover, format the book, proofread the book, set up the ebook, and do the marketing, and then have our real lives on top of it. And so the big question is, can you really do it all? And let me see who wants to answer that first. AJ, I'm going to get your initials confused. AG and CJ, you've done this to me on purpose. You are both, and Eric, you did not mention that you also have a children's book you've illustrated. So all of us are doing business in the publishing world while at the same time being authors. So I am going to start alphabetically and say, AG, just tell us how you know when you've done too much, and what are the things you try to not put on your plate.
Well, I think as an author, it is very important to first and foremost to focus on the writing and to do everything in your power to stay productive. That is, if you want to be a full-time author and be in that big league of people who are making a living and a life out of their books. And we all know those people exist. They are not too many, but since those people exist, this means that it is possible. And I think one key ingredient is writing. So finding the time and the discipline to put those words on paper, or basically type them on your computer, that's very important. And then, of course, learning a few marketing skills, so that even when you hire someone to help you with social media or with media relations and PR support, services that Black Château helps author with, then you know what you ask for, and you know what you need to do to be successful, and you know how to engage with your fans. But then, when it comes to aspects such as book cover design, this is what Eric does, and interior file formatting, this is where I think it's necessary for you to work with an expert, unless you are so gifted and you have a background in design, and you can create your own covers. I know an author who she does that, so she writes books, but she's also a very good book cover designer. But this situation is rare. So there are things where you'd better work with an expert, like your book cover, the interior formatting, even the book marketing, the publicity, because someone who has been in the business of book publicity for a long time, and in PR, they already have these connections with the media so that they can pick up the phone and make a call and get you on the show, especially in the beginning. And that's where I think there is the problem, sort of. So in the beginning, you're not making a lot of money with your books, but then you don't have an audience. So to build your audience takes time. So a way
It's the catch-22. Nobody's reading my book. Nobody's buying my book because they haven't heard about it, but they haven't heard about it because they haven't read it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the way to kind of, take a shortcut is to hire a publicist who has all these connections, and know another very important thing, knows how to approach the journalist to get you in the media, because journalists are not necessarily interested in, an author from Ohio or from California, where I am, some unknown person wrote another book. This is not a story. They are looking for stories. So the publicist will be able to look at your book and find a theme, find something that's timely, and pitch it to the press, or look at your bio, look at your author, at your story, or at the story behind the book, and find something that would make it interesting. So,
CJ, if you can tell us a little bit also.
Yeah, so when do you know enough is enough is one of the greatest questions of all time, I think, for every author. And I will tell you that I never know when enough is enough. And that is one of the hardest things. I had to learn every aspect of the world that I was in, because in the beginning, I couldn't afford a cover designer. I couldn't afford to pay someone to do the interior, to pay someone to do the social media marketing, to pay someone to do all that stuff. And the self-published authors that I work with are doing the same thing. So it was very hard for them. So they're in this, like AG said, this catch-22 where they don't have the means, but they have the story inside of them. So I started writing from a mental health journey aspect, and I started building my brand. Over 4 years, I built my brand, and I learned, and I got on Google, and I talked to so many amazing people through my podcast, and I learned. And then I started with the ability to hire cover designers, and then my covers were getting noticed. My books were getting noticed once I was able to buy. But you get overwhelmed, and then you start to break down, and then you have to take a break, and then you can't write anymore. You can't market anymore. You have to sit for a week or 2 weeks. So it's very hard when you have to take all of it on, because the financial means at the time isn't there. But you need the financial means in order to make it happen for you. So like AG said, that catch-22 is very hard. But knowing that it's possible and you can get there, and talking to people, having those, for a lack of a better word, mechanisms, those writing groups, those people that you can lean on, those people you can talk to, that's what's going to help you get to the places that you need to be. And that's what saved me over those 4 years. So.
And Eric, your turn.
This issue, and CJ, unfortunately, we're talking about with a lot of authors, we're talking about money as one of the biggest issues that are holding people back from, achieving the success that they want or being able to put out the product that they want to put out. It's such a interesting time with self-publishing being accessible by everybody now. I think of that expression like a dog, when a dog chases a car, like when a dog actually catches the car, you wouldn't even know what to do with it. It's kind of like the same thing with self-publishing. It's like there's this amazing world that's accessible, but there's so much involved with it. And when you actually get into it, you really do have to learn all these different aspects to it to become successful at it. Not comparing authors to dogs by any means. It's I've in the years that I've been doing this, I've worked with clients who could barely afford a cover, to clients that are working with author organizations that they're paying $20,000 to get into, and they have huge budgets to work with. So it's we're talking about such a gamut, such a tier of things that are going on. But for the average client, it's been challenging for them to be able to pay all the expenses that they have to be able to just be successful at what it is that they want to do. I'm kind of like losing my train of thought because we're talking about a lot. But I think from a cover perspective, like, when do you know you're taking on too much? Sometimes the costs are too much for clients. I try to work with people as much as I can if I need to spread things out over a couple months. Some clients do that. I think it's really important, though, for clients to focus on a good cover design, because I always say a cover is going to reflect your book, the content of your book, and people they judge the book by the cover right away. I don't know how many times I look at a cover and I it just says immediately what's inside. If you have a cover that doesn't look like you spent any time on it, people are going to think, well, that reflects what's going on the inside, and they're not gonna give it the time of day. So it is really important to do that. And I know it's finances have been really challenging for a lot of people. The cool thing about self-publishing is, though, you have the control to assemble the team that you want to assemble. And I've worked, Karen, we've worked together for how many years now? 5 years now. And along with you, I've worked with some other agencies. And it's pretty amazing the talent that's out there and the people that are really dedicated to want to help self-publishing authors. And from editors to formatters to designers to marketing people, there's a lot of really passionate people out there, and they're not asking for a lot. And you just have to kind of do the work and take the time to assemble the team that's going to be best for you and for your vision, and just have the faith that these people are out there and that you can find it and it's all going to work out. And I've seen that happen so many times, and I do my best to be really supportive of all my clients and give them my all, even the ones that aren't able to pay as much as I'd like them to. I don't change my services for them at all. I just I want to know that I want them to know that I'm on their team. I know I said a lot there.
Well, I think you brought up one thing. First things I want to say, I want to go around really quickly and tell me the first thing that you decided you couldn't do yourself. And I have to say, the first thing, when I started in this, the one thing I knew I couldn't do, I have absolutely no ability to draw. No, if I did a book cover, it would be stick figures. So that was the thing that I was always willing to spend money on. So the rest of you, tell me what it is. What was the first thing you said? I can't do it all. I have to spend money on this.
Well,
So-
I'll go. Yeah, obviously the cover. Although I did try to do it myself in Canva, and then I realized it's not a good thing. It's not the right thing to do. So the cover and the interior formatting of the books for sure. And then the next thing on my list would be book marketing. But I do have experience in marketing, so that definitely helped me do the marketing for the books myself.
Okay, CJ?
So I currently do all of my stuff my own. I do the formatting. I won't say that my book covers are as good as when I hire a cover designer, but I do have some of my books that I do my own cover designs. I do my own marketing. I do all of my stuff on my own. So, but I do break down at times, and I do have to take those weeks off. And that's those moments where I say, if I had a magic ball, would I hire a publicist? Absolutely. Would I give my cover designs fully over to everybody? Absolutely. And so on and so forth. And would I focus just on the writing? 100%. But unfortunately, I don't live in a world where I can do all of that. So I do all of it on my own. And when I have a chance, I hire out the cover design. That's the only thing currently that I hire out. Everything else, I use my network and my podcast and my magazine to do all the rest of it.
Okay, Eric?
Well, I mean, just for the record, you said earlier, Karen, that I'm not an author.
No, but you've got an illustrator.
Yeah. I did illustrate that children's book, but I didn't write it. Though I do have, I think one day I'll probably be putting out, something that I created myself. It's just kind of a long time coming for that. But when it comes to what I do, I try to do it all, but sometimes it gets to be too much, and I usually contract out formatting. And that's been really helpful to just be able to take that stuff off of my plate. I tend to feel like the creative stuff and formatting just numbs my brain. I'm just not good at it. It takes me too long. I'd rather just give it to someone who can just cruise through it, and I can spend my time working on some of the creative aspects of a project. So yeah, I usually contract out formatting to formatters, and also editing, like to you, Karen. Like when I get a project and the client is looking for an editor, they're looking for a book cover designer, they're looking for formatting, I'll be like, I'll do your cover, and I'm just going to refer some editors to you, or I'll refer some really great formatters that I've worked with, and I usually give people a list of people that they can contact and choose from, and then they kind of pick who's going to work for their budget, who's best for their project.
Well, I want to, we brought up so many things. It's hard to keep track of it all and keep the conversation going in a good flow. But first, I want to pat myself on the back for something I did today. I turned down a client. It was a small editing job. I've known the person for several years. I would have taken it on if I had not just gone off to see the grandkids for a week and come back with a bad cold. And it was like, there's just no way. That's where I had to finally get to the breakdown of saying, I've got to turn someone down. I have to be honest with you. If you want to wait until October, I can take your and I picked October because it was so far in advance she was going to say no. But then I referred her to someone in my network. And so that brings me to what both Eric and CJ were saying is we've got to have networks. And CJ, we don't, you were talking about you turn to someone in your network. You don't have to do it all yourself, and you don't have to pay someone. We have to develop a network. So let's talk about how we find our networks. And you mentioned it, CJ, so I'll start with you on that.
Yeah, one of the greatest things that helped me find my network was I love to talk. I know you can't hardly tell because I keep muting myself, but I love to talk. But I do it virtually because I suffer from extreme social anxiety. Just being in the proximity of people, I can't do that. I want to have a panic attack. But being able to be in this virtual platform makes me feel like myself again. So when I became an author and I started writing my books, I realized that nobody cared to read them. They're like, okay, well, everyone's writing a book. What's the big deal? And I thought, well, I wrote my book. It's really special. So I said, okay, well, there's other people that feel like me. I realized that when I started getting into different groups. So I said, okay, well, what if I created a podcast or started talking to people. So I started interviewing other authors and I started talking to other authors. And through that podcast, what I did was I created this network of people that I talk to, and I keep in touch with the guests. Not all of them, because some of them are a little higher than wanting to keep in touch with me, which I understand. They have publicists and all that other stuff. But some of them are like me, just trying to write books and have a good time. And some of it's mental health journey and stuff. So for me, that was how I built my network, was just talking to people, putting myself out there, not being afraid to just open up and say, you know what, today is a hard day. Today I can't write because I just don't feel good. I just feel sad and I can't get the words out. Or today I'm really happy and I want to share this wonderful story that the characters are just flying out of my brain for. And they wanted to talk. And that was the best thing that I was able to do for me and build that network, was that podcast for me.
Okay, AG, do you have any? What's your network like?
When I self-published my first nonfiction book, that's when I realized the power of networking, and I found supporters and made friends by joining Facebook groups. There are so many Facebook groups out there. There are author Facebook groups, and in there you can connect with other authors and learn from them. But then there are also groups that are dedicated to readers, and there are also groups that are built around certain interests. So by going into those groups and adding value and engaging with other people and commenting with them, that's how you can start building a network, a professional network, and then engage potential readers with your work. So I would say that's a great resource, the Facebook groups, where you can start, and it's free.
And so, Eric, who do you consider to be on your team? And I mean, what type of people for you to publish, a book or help others publish a book? What type of people are on your creative team?
I'll tell you, it's been amazing watching everything unfold over the past couple of years. You just start with like a single connection, like yourself, Karen, and then eventually, as I start doing more projects and putting stuff out there, time has kind of brought to me all these different connections, and I'm finding myself having dialogues with editors and formatters and publicity agency staff and small independent publishers, like regularly. And it's just incredible, like how quickly, not quickly, but how over a few years it all developed. You just kind of like you were talking, CJ, like you just kind of start putting something out there that this is something that you're doing. And with me it was with book covers, and I was and AG, I was also sharing them on social media. And when it was new for me, I was really excited about it. I was like, this is something really cool. I'm really excited about this. So I just started sharing it. And then all of a sudden, somebody sends me a Facebook message and says, my mom saw your book cover that you did. I'm working on a book project, my wife and I and our son, we just moved over the holiday. We moved January 2nd. And I ended up posting on the social media, the Facebook page for the town where we moved to. I just on a whim, I just made this like silly book cover ad, and I just posted it into the Newtown Facebook group, and I'm really lucky that I have the ability to do that. You know, I say it, and I know that it's really easy for me to do that stuff. I could just whip up an ad really quickly, but for some, for authors, it's not so easy. And, that could be a whole nother dialogue. It's just like how to like creatively put together ads for yourself. But what I ended up doing was just doing something really fast. And I posted it on this Facebook page. And then in a matter of like 3 hours, I had like 3 people contacted me in Messenger talking to me, saying, oh, they're local authors, they'd like to meet. And it's just amazing what social media can do. And as you begin to connect with people in the field, how they connect you to people, and then they connect you to people, and how your community just grows. And now it's just getting emails all the time from all these different hubs all over the place. It's pretty astonishing, actually. I'm pretty happy about it.
Well, I've found that everyone in publishing that I've met is really giving, and they always want to help other people who want to be creative and don't know how to get it out there. I've met very few people who didn't want to help others. So I think we're in a really good area because we've got a lot of sharing, giving people. But one of the things I always say is, I know I'm not a Renaissance person. You have to have an editor on your team. And even if the editor is a relative, if let's say that you are just starting out and you have absolutely no budget, having someone that you trust who has decent grammar skills, you have to have it. I want you to have more than that, but that's your basic. You have to at least go in and do some kind of cover that it might be a template cover, but it's more than something you've put together yourself, unless you happen to have great skill. And it really bothers me because I do love to format books. When I see a self-published book that is formatted like a business letter, make sure that you know what you're doing when you're formatting, and then make sure that you have to get on social media. And that's the thing that I'm really not consistent about. When I get busy, what goes for me is social media. But that's where we connect these days, and it's great. I am with you, CJ. I don't really enjoy going out and meeting in person. And I think writers in general are introverts. So social media is really great, except for the fact that some people are like, but I don't do social media. I hate social media. I have this prejudice. So when it comes to social media, when it comes to publicizing yourself, you just have to get over the shyness and go out and tell everybody, I just did something great. So who haven't we talked to recently? I feel like CJ and AG, I don't know if I've gotten you as much. What do you have to add?
Well, I would add that expectations, managing your expectations and being clear about your writing objectives are really important, because if you expect to have just 1 book out or 2 books or 3 books and see a big return in terms of audience or sales, that's harder to happen, although it is possible, but it's not a rule, it's just the exception. So this is in terms of expectations. And then in terms of objectives, what are your objectives for your writing career? Are you really dedicated and serious about it? And do you want it to be your full-time gig then? And are you ready to self-publish, or maybe traditional publishing is better for you? But if the answer is yes, I want to be a full-time author and I want to self-publish my books because I love to have control and because I have so many stories in my head that I know that I can be prolific, then it is important to set this as a goal, as a priority, and then think about self-publishing as a rather than as a hobby than as a business, and treat it as such. And like any business, especially in the beginning, it requires an investment. So basically the investment that you're making into having a professional cover, the formatting, into working with a publicist or with working with an agency like Black Château, which can provide social media support, media relations, self-publishing support, book formatting, interior file design, all those things that can turn an author into a success. So this is basically an investment that you're making in yourself and in your career. And from my experience with working with authors, I noticed that many of them, they are, especially for those who are starting out. So the the writing stuff is just a side hustle in the beginning. It's just a hobby. So then maybe, from whatever you're earning per month, maybe you can dedicate a portion of those earnings to your writing career and invest in, as I said, in the right packaging for your manuscript and in your education. Maybe you need to take a writing course. Maybe you need to learn about book marketing and attend a webinar or a course. So these are things to consider beyond just the writing. And yeah, Karen, I agree. On your team, you need to have the decent book cover designer. You need to have the editor, and ideally, you need to have someone who knows how to market books and who can at least help you with creating a strategy and identifying the right channels for book promotion and the right messages and all that stuff, so you can get it out there consistently. And as CJ said, building an author brand, that's also a key aspect of being successful with your books.
Mm-hmm. So that brings me back to CJ and author branding, and how, I find I'm always talking to my authors about branding, and I have some authors who they want to put it out there so fast they don't care if it's right, which is not a good brand to have. And then the other authors who are so busy being perfectionists, they can't put it out at all. So how do you manage that from I want to have 14 books out today to I want to have the perfect book out and I can't pull the trigger and ever publish it?
Well, I can answer some of that, and I'll take it all back to can you do it all? The main topic that we are talking about, because I published 22 books in 4 years. And I will not say that they're the most polished, beautiful books and they need to be on New York Times bestsellers, USA Today bestsellers. But I will tell you that they were what I needed to get out. They were what I needed to do. And they were the best that I could put out at the time. And I am extremely proud of those books. Am I repolishing some of them? Yes. Am I redoing some of them? Absolutely. Am I still writing? Do I have 10 books to 20 books that I'm currently working on? Absolutely. But that's my process. That's how I work because of my ADD and because of how I need to be able to work. So I think that every single person needs to give themselves grace. Grace is the one thing, regardless if you are a cover designer, an editor, an author, a publicist, whatever your job is, whatever you do in this world, give yourself grace. Life is going to happen every single day, whether you want it to or not. It's going to jump up. It's going to bite you in the butt. It's going to take your money that you wanted to spend on the cover design and tell you that your dog's going to become paralyzed and you have to go get it surgery, because that happened to me. It's going to take your energy and zap it from you because of a chronic illness that I watch people deal with every single day, and you can't write or you can't market. Or it's going to give you so much energy that you're so wound up that you literally have to write for hours and publish 22 books because you just can't stop. And then you're just going to have to do it. Give yourself grace for every single moment in life, regardless if you're succeeding or failing, because when you give yourself grace, you're going to continue to move forward. But when you beat yourself up, you're going to stop. And when you stop, that's when you crash. So as long as we don't crash, we're okay.
That's a really good thing to remember, is give yourself grace. And it brings me to another of the things that has always fascinated me. And that's how do you find and replenish your creative energy when you are at the end and you've done too much and you can't find the urge to write or create anything? How do you replenish that creative energy? So Eric, we'll go to you because we're trying to go in circles here.
What do I do to replenish? Yeah, I hear that. And I hear you, CJ. Thank you for what you said there. It's big, giving yourself permission to just be where you're at. I try to, if I had it my way, I would be cranking out art 24 hours a day. My wife, she's like, sometimes she's got to tell me to like, just stop working, and I'm always thinking about it. I'm always talking about it. I bring it up at dinner and she's just like, can we just not talk about what cover you're working on right now? Thank goodness for her. My wife is a health coach, so she kind of balances out like all of my the areas where I kind of, I'm a little unbalanced and she makes sure that we're eating really good foods to help balance it out. And she's always reminding me, go to the gym. And that's always really helpful. If I had my way again, I'd be inside working all the time. I don't like going out either. I want to be doing something creative all the time, but I do get to the gym and that helps. We go swimming with our son, and that's really helpful. That's a lot of fun. And now that it's spring, starting to be spring here in Pennsylvania, starting to be really nice. We try to get out and we go to the nearby park, which is really nice, and just like walk around, get some fresh air. I'm also a amateur musician, so I write a lot and I play a lot of guitar, and I'm actually starting to play some gigs, some local gigs here in town, and that's always like that kind of like sets me straight. Playing music is good medicine for the brain. So those are all the things that I do to kind of like balance it out. But I definitely work too hard, and I try to be doing too much all the time, too much creative stuff all the time, and I do get burned out. I definitely got burned out over the holidays a little bit, with our mood and stuff like that. And there's just some days and let's face it, life has been super challenging lately, and it's really, burnout. I talk to so many people and everybody's just burned out and tired. And you just got to do what you can, just do what you can, and just be okay with saying, okay, I'm just putting this down and I'm going to go outside and I'm going to get some sun, and just going to walk around and just forget about it for a little bit, because it is, it's really important. Back to you, Karen.
AG, what's your way of finding your creative energy?
Well, one very powerful way is for me to be in love with that book and with creating. It's same when we are in love with someone. It's like we never get enough of that person, and we always want to be there. And then it gives us so much energy to do things that otherwise we wouldn't normally do. So I think this love for writing and for the craft and for the readers, that this is one big help for me. And then I agree with everything that Eric said. I think life is already stressful enough. Just to add more stress and beat myself up for not meeting my daily goal for writing. Let's say I say today I want to, every morning I need to write 2,000 words, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So I stopped beating myself up for not doing that. Another thing is just listening to my body. So I know when we get in that flow and we feel like, yeah, we need to write, but then the back hurts, the body is stiff. So it's important to listen to the body and to give it the break it needs and move around and stretch. And then there are other mindfulness tools such as meditation. To me, the whole writing process is something that comes through us. It's like I connect to a bigger being, something that's outside of me, and then just those words just pour through me. So this meditation practice that I do every morning, and even before I sit down and I start to type, just take a moment to connect to my heart, to my body, be present in the moment, open myself up to inspiration. This helps to stay creative, and also connect with other creative people in different from different arts, musicians. I like to go to art galleries. I love music. I love dancing, being outside in nature, being present in the moment, so I can absorb everything that's around me. That also fuels my creativity.
Mhm. I have to agree with everyone, and this last couple of weeks, I had to give myself that grace. I have had a very tight schedule. I wanted to get a book out in June. I've pushed that already ready to September because I had to do 2 chapters a week and have to get it done at certain times, and then I got sick. I had to give myself permission to just be sick. I could not, I just couldn't write. You cannot create when you have a bad cold. It's just not possible. But the other thing I do on a regular basis, and maybe this is my ADD or my inner child, giving myself little rewards. If I'm going to write 2 or 3 hours, I get a cup of tea. I get a walk. When I say rewards, I'm not saying you have to go buy yourself something or something like that, but I am going to get this task done. Then I get to take my walk. Then I get to have a few minutes off. And more than just the, doctor recommended, lift your eyes from the screen every few 20 minutes or so that you don't get eye strain. But you need to replenish, and I think that's something a lot of authors do is they try to stick to the schedule to the point where they run out of the energy. So let's see, any other particular questions that people have or thoughts that you want to bring up?
I think it is you are really on to the point, Karen. It is really important not to turn this whole writing process into a burden, and find ways to continually enjoy it and make it fun and interesting and new and exciting. So this is about mindset or the rewards. That's a great thing, and it's self-parenting, I guess, in a way. And
Yeah, I agree with you, AG. I think that you have to find things that keep you grounded instead of being, I talk about, my military time for 20 years and we were just go, 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 go. And I think that it's not just the military that does that. humans, when you get so focused on a goal and you've got to get here, you've got to get here, you've got to get here. But that's not the important part. The important part is the process. It's everything along the way. And if you're so focused on getting there, you miss everything in between. And that's the fun stuff. And you have to just take that step back and force yourself to realize when you're getting that tunnel vision and you're that horse with the blinders on, and if you can remind yourself to step out of that laser focused mentality sometimes, to just be present and grounded in the moment, then you probably won't experience the burnout as much. And I think it's really important to do that, and to find those moments with your son and your wife, with your meditation, with your grandchildren, Karen, or those treats that you get. I can't say it too loud. My dogs come running, so I'm going to be quiet now because I just said it.
Okay. Eric, what about you?
Yes, thinking like, one of my favorite parts about my job, or what I do is the feeling I get when an author is so excited about what I've done for them, and what I find is, and with a lot of self-publishing authors, I think some of my experience has showed me that it's some of them have had challenges in trusting people, because there are a lot of things out there that people want to take advantage of you, because everybody wants to self-publish and they spend a lot of money but they don't get a lot of results. But I absolutely love doing something that exceeds an author's expectation, and their excitement. I actually find that their excitement actually fuels their growth, and they actually get more excited about what it is that they're doing, and it gives them, like, it actually gives them more energy to like keep going and to like and do this next part of the project and do this next part of the project. And that's always really reassuring, and I always really love that. It's really good to be able to let somebody know that they're on their side, and that you got your back in this, and that you're just as invested in their project as they are, and that you want them to succeed just as much as they do. Yeah, it's like the best part of what I do is just helping others to create their dreams, and just kind of like have a good time along the way. CJ, you said, or AG, you said also, like, just to have fun. Like, the day that I stop having fun designing covers, the day I stop designing covers. Like the day it becomes work, and the fun is gone, because it is really fun. And authors continue to share your stories, because I love reading them. I love creating pictures for them. This is all this time. Words and pictures go hand in hand. I need authors to be fulfilled, because I can make a picture, sure, but when you have a story to back that picture up, and then you have a picture to back that story up, it's like this symbiotic relationship, and we need each other, and it's just so fulfilling. But just make it fun, make it enjoyable, and that passion for what you do is just going to be contagious, and people are gonna want to read what you put out there, because you're putting so much passion into it and so much energy into it that it can't fail. Back to you, Karen.
I think we've all summed it up, that we all love what we do. And if I didn't love what I do, I would go down to the local mall and be a cashier, like I was in high school. So if you're not loving what you're doing, find something else. Find something else that really strikes your passion. And we can't be passionate every day, and we can't have creative energy every day. And sometimes we have to sit back and look at what we can get rid of, and what we shouldn't accept. But it's all about finding your passion and keeping it. And that's the way to not burn out, I think. So I think that pretty much wraps us up for the talk. So thank you all.
Thank you. It was great being here with you, and good luck to everyone.
Yeah, nice to meet everybody.
Yes.
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.